Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming and the fifth episode of our Mageblood hunt. There's going to be a few different sections of this video because I'm having massive difficulties having tons of stuff in an Excellence Next tab. So the first thing I'm going to go through is changes to the way we're tracking currency in terms of how we're doing towards a Mageblood. And secondly, how I'm recording the currency for each strategy, and it's going to be from the next video going forwards. So before we get into the actual strat of the next episode, I just want to talk through Excellence Next and why I'm making these changes. So as I mentioned in the last episode, Excellence Next is very volatile when you have a lot of stuff in there because any minor changes to what PoE Ninja says is the price massively alters your overall tab. So I could basically go and do a mapping strategy and start on 120, and I could walk out after an hour at 130 because some things have tracked a bit higher in price. Equally, it could do what's happened here. I could go into a map and come out and it's dropped by 7 divines. And it's because I'm tracking both the tabs, both my dump tab and my Mageblood currency tab. And I've got stuff like Raw Divines, which change price. The Life Force changes up and down a lot per chaos, but not actually per bulk price. Apothecary seems to be dropping. Apothecary, I always say that wrong. The Apothecary seems to be dropping, so obviously I expect that naturally to lose a bit of value, which again might be something to look at. Should I be buying a card at a time? Probably not. I should probably just wait till I've got the Divines to buy the next 4 cards. These don't track properly. The Delirium Orbs, the stacked decks price isn't correct. Vile Orbs you can sell in bulk, so this price isn't correct. Literally nothing is correct in Excellence Next. So what we're going to be doing from now to make it much easier for me to track how much per hour I'm getting for the strategy and how much I've got overall is I'm going to have to start selling stuff as a map because I want to keep my tabs as clean as possible, which is going to slow down the hourly rate slightly. The other thing I'm going to do, which is more for your benefit, if you're doing this strategy, I wouldn't do what I'm going to do. But after every different strategy I try, which is normally around 50 maps, I'm going to sell everything. And I'm going to have the timer going. So it's obviously going to affect my hourly and what I get. If it's you and you're farming, I wouldn't sell every 50 maps. Just do it when you feel you need to. So let's say you want to wait until you've filled your quad tab and then spend an hour or two selling. Do it that way. It's definitely going to be less profitable doing it the way I'm doing it. But I want to be able to give you guys an idea of exactly how much currency I've got. Not, I think I've got 120 divines worth of loot. Actually, how many divines have I got with stuff that I've sold? Because lots of the stuff in my tab, for example, I'm keeping to do other strategies. So things like scarabs I might be keeping hold of. I might keep hold of some deli orbs. So they're not things that we're ever going to sell. So these shouldn't count towards the Mageblood farm because I'm never going to spend that currency. So before we go into the next strategy, I'm literally going to go start the timer and again sell everything that I've got that I don't need, change all my chaos where I can into divines, and then we're going to have a good idea of where we are towards the next card. And whether I buy that card or not, I need to think about because it seems to be dropping in price as we get further on in the league. So do I buy a card and then 3 days later that card is worth 3 divines less? I've basically wasted 3 divines that I farmed. So that's something I need to look at as well. But firstly, yeah, I'm going to go and sell everything and I will be back with you with the current strat. Okay, we finished selling everything I wanted to. Apologies, the timer was hidden behind my head before. We're now at 30 hours and 9 minutes. So it took just under an hour again to get everything sold. And now the tabs are looking much better. So the way we're going to go from the next episode going forwards is I'm going to have this strat tab here where everything from the current strat goes in there. So I know exactly what I'm earning. Then once we finish and we've added up the strat, I can add it to this bulk tab. And then I'll try and sell as much as I can and move into here. And then in my sale tab, I'm just keeping my 2 apothecary cards just so they don't get included in the total and I know where I am. But yeah, I bought an extra card. So this was 58 divines for the second card. So I've now got 2 cards. Got a few bits left to sell here and there, but nothing much. Most stuff is sold. And then we've got our dump tab here, which is basically really just scarabs and essences now and a few bits and bobs that we're either going to sell later or use. In terms of currency, we're down to 1 raw divine and 481 C. Overall, we've got about 10 divines worth of loot, 10 to 11 in the tabs, a bit more if we include the sale tab, and I've got my 2 apothecary cards. So we're doing okay. I would have liked to have been a bit better, but I think I really underestimated how long it takes to sell stuff worth this much money, even if you just got, so I had like 6,000 chaos in the end that I needed to convert to divines and sell, and it's a lot of clicking. Few people joined, waited till I put all the chaos in the window and then left, which is bloody annoying. But yeah, overall, trading does take a lot of time. So let's talk about the strat that I used for this episode. It was 50 maps. On average, it was about 6.5 minutes per map, including some Tusion trading at the end. So that kind of gives away what we're looking at. And we're essentially doing Harvest, again, back on the Harvest bandwagon because it's just so lucrative in terms of currency. We're doing Growing Hordes, and then we're doing Expedition and keeping Harbinger. I'm dropping essences because just can't fit them in, and we can't get to all these blocker nodes here, but we're still getting content really, really regularly. And the idea is you just chisel out and go with the map, and then you're going to use Fortune Favors the Brave on the map device here, because that synergizes with Shaping the Valley, so we get 10% pack size and quant and rarity. All we're looking to do is, go in, complete the Expedition, complete the Harvest. When it's there, do the altars. I'm not doing any Sanctum for this run because I want to find out how good the profit of the strategy is and not getting Sanctum stuff mixed up in with it. So for now, and maybe going forward, there's no Sanctum at all because it makes it difficult to track the actual strategy. So in terms of Expedition, it was pretty rewarding. At first, I didn't think it was, but then the more I did it and the more I understood how to complete it, the more currency I was getting out of it. And then we made an absolute ton from the reroll currencies that we went through earlier. So in terms of totals, I ended up with 18.7k Yellow Life Force, which is about 4.3 divines, 7.5 to 8k Blue, which was about 1 divine, and then 10.2k Purple, which is about 1.2 divines. So overall, pretty decent. You're looking like 6.5 divines roughly for Harvest income. And then for Expedition, that was about 4.5 divines, and that was after I spent all my currency with Tujon and Danig. Had 8 logbooks that were either Danig or Tujon. We had a few others that were worth like 10C, so I didn't bother selling them. So income from just those 2 things in the strategy was 10.85 divines, and it took me about 5.25 hours to do the maps, including re-rolling. So you're looking at over 2 divines profit an hour just from the loot from Expedition and the loot from Harvest, which I think is really good. We got the last few fracturing shards we needed for our fracturing orb, so they're now gone because we sold the orb for 5.4 divines. But overall, this strat was really good. I'm just not sure it's something I could do for too long because just doing Expedition gets a little bit annoying. Like Harvest is fine. I quite enjoy doing Harvest. Expedition is good once you learn how to do it to get the most out of it. I think my issue was I was going in thinking I was just looking for reroll tokens and logbooks and missing out on a ton of value. Because you get things like stacked decks have a 33% chance to drop from a runic monster. So then you look for markers that add quantity. You look for markers that add monsters. You might get stacked decks drop from chests. So then you take that and then you try and add the quantum rarity and then take chests. So it's all about getting that chain right for Expedition. The only issue with this build is sometimes you can't take a relic. So for example, the first one you want to take, which is stacked decks or even increased chance to drop logbooks, is immune to cold damage. This build is massively going to struggle because it just won't do any damage. Same as if things like hits on monsters cannot be critical strikes, that massively gimps my damage. So there are a few things for this sort of build that make Expedition not brilliant, but I still made decent currency from it. And it's definitely something I would do again. And the thing I like about it is most of the stuff is pretty easy to liquidate. You're going to sell your logbooks either on TFT or on trade. You're going to use Tujon to get loads and loads of currency and either keep that or sell it. And then you've got Harvest on the other hand, which just sells in bulk for divines really, really easily. So overall, I did like these mechanics because everything sells in bulk. Same with Harbinger. You wait until you get enough ancient orbs to sell for a divine. You could even do the same with annulments, and then you can do the same, wait until you've got one whole fracturing orb and sell that. So the positives for me about this sort of strategy is there's very little selling time because everything sells in bulk. Whereas other strategies where you might have 20 or 30 different things that you need to sell, you're going to sell that for chaos. You've then got to turn that chaos into divines. It adds a lot of time. So it's something I need to be more aware of when I'm picking a strategy going forwards. And we had some good luck as well. Along with that kind of 2 divines an hour, which is pretty solid from those strats. You're then going to have like your invitation, anything that drops from altars and things like that. So I think minimum this would be 4 divines an hour. If you get lucky, it's going to be more. And I did get lucky. I had some nice drops. I had a div card drop for 3.3 divines, which was the double corrupted Unnatural Instinct, which was a very nice thing to drop. I also went into Nico because I've been running those Nico nodes for the last 2 episodes. I actually had a ton of Azurite. I had enough to sell 1.2 divines worth of resonators because they're 2C each. So that was really nice. I had some Skin of the Loyals up for 1 divine and then 1 for 30C. They both sold. So I've literally got rid of everything. I'm really happy with where we are. I've got the 2 cards. I would have liked to have been not this far on and only 2 cards in, but it is what it is. Let's say it's 15 hours a card. It's not exactly ideal because I need 5 cards. And that's a 75-hour grind to get a Mageblood. It's pretty insane. So we'll just see how we go, or maybe we get a bit lucky. We can find a strat that's a bit more currency and isn't too long in kind of setting it up. So if you wanted to run this strategy, it is fairly simple. You're taking growing hordes, you're doing your Atlas tree exactly like this. Your map sustain might be an issue because we're not taking any map nodes. The reason I'm doing it is because I've got an absolute overflow of maps, so I don't need to worry if I don't sustain for like 50 maps. If you needed to sustain, this is probably not going to do it. You won't be far off because you do get lots of maps dropped from things like Harbinger, Expedition gets more monsters, so you will drop maps, you just may not sustain. But you won't be that far off, so you may have to buy maps if you're someone who hasn't got much of a supply of maps. And then you just put in 4 scarabs in. I'd recommend rusted, but there are some cheap polished ones that are maybe 1 to 2C. That might be worth doing. But rusted only goes up kind of 2% to polish, so I'm not sure it's really worth it that much. So I would just go with rusted scarabs. And then you're going in, completing the mechanics, getting the altars, and just completing the map as normal. And the currency should flow in. You'll get Harvest and Expedition all the time. Harbingers are going to turn up every map. With Fortune Favours the Brave, you've got a chance of getting things like a Delirium Mirror to shove. All you need to do is run through it, get to like 5 or 6 rewards, and then turn it off. You might get some Delirium Orbs. You've obviously got a chance of getting extra Harbinger, Beyond. Domination is good. Ritual's absolutely terrible. But yeah, in general, you're going to have something positive from your 3 Chaos along with the pack size and quantity that comes with that node. At this stage, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I've got a few options. Option 1 is sell my Mageblood cards and buy a Headhunter. Use that to basically farm quicker. And then when we get to the end and we're 100 or 90 divines away from a Mageblood, we sell the Headhunter, which is an option I'm thinking about. In terms of strategies, Legion is going to be a good option. I just like Legion, even if it's not super profitable now because everyone's doing it. It's just such a fun mechanic to do with a build like Tornado Shot. I've kind of been in and done a few Legions from where it turns up in Fortune Favours the Brave. And yeah, they're a piece of cake, but obviously I'm going to be juicing them a bit more if I need to do it as a strategy. So that's maybe where the Headhunter would come in. If we decide to spend money on a Headhunter, then it might be that Legion becomes a really good strat to do. I need to look into it. I've not really done Legion this league. So I need to look at how easy it is to sell all the stuff, how profitable it is, and do I need to have a better character than what I've got, essentially. So my map tab is doing pretty well. I've also got all of these maps, and where I was favourite in City Square and Forbidden Woods was a connecting map. I have an absolute ton of these. These are in addition to the 60 or however many you can hold in your stash tab. So my next idea is either Legion or we're literally just going to rush invitations. So we're going to take all of these maps, just stick them in, wait till the influence spawns, leave, put the next one in. If Sanctum turns up along the way, we'll take it. If not, we're not going to bother. Obviously, if Altars turn up and we can get a few currency here and there, great, we'll do that. But the idea is to be in and out of maps in like 20 seconds, just to get rid of all of these. And then when it's time to kill the boss, we'll pop a map in that we can boss rush, get the invitation, and yeah, we'll just basically get all of these maps done. And any spare maps I've got that I don't want to run. So we should be able to churn through like 4 or 5 invitations with the spare maps that I've got. And that'll generate just some nice, easy currency. They're kind of the options I'm looking at. If anyone's got any ideas, let me know. I'm always up for trying new stuff. Nothing too taxing in terms of setting up. I don't want to be spending kind of an hour setting the strategy up unless it's going to get me like, 8 to 9 divines an hour. Then I'd obviously happily do that. But yeah, if anyone's getting ideas, please let me know. I think that's it for this video. More of an update of how I'm changing the videos rather than the strategy. But strategy worked. I would think 4 to 5 divines an hour, especially with the price of harvest stuff at the moment. If it's something you want to try, I'd recommend it. It's something I've done various iterations of all league and it's never let me down. There's probably ways it can be better and tweaked. This is kind of something I've just put together. I'm sure there's ways to improve it and optimize it. That's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.